Welcome back, Deadites and Ghost Beaters. Today we're going to look at the legacy of horror that is going to be brought by the 15 playable characters, cast members of the Quarry, the spiritual successor to the 2015 Until Dawn, which is one of my favorite games from Supermassive Games. And I play it every October, and we'll be doing it again this October as well. But we're going to break down the cast and talk about how they all have really strong connections to horror films or horror series in some cases, and how that will probably bring a great experience to the player as we go through the over 200 endings the game has to offer. Now, of course, we will be starting with our first video at midnight tonight. We'll be going into the movie mode, but before, we're going to look at the cast. If you enjoy this horror-related content, please drop a like and a comment on the video. It really does help the channel. And of course, I answer all my comments. Of course, smash that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell for all horror-related content, whether it be The Quarry or it be Evil Dead. Now, if you're looking for people to play with on Evil Dead or just talk about horror-related things, check out that link in the description below. It is our Discord, is an ever-growing group of rabid horror fans. Now, today we're going to look at the whole cast, and I'll start with the 9 counselors, because I feel like those are who are going to be probably playing the most, even though that has not been confirmed yet, because we haven't seen an official playthrough. So, the cast is made up of 9 counselors, and these are going to be the kids who are probably going to screw around, get themselves caught in trouble, and, you know, probably end up doing a lot of dumb shit, because that's kind of the Friday the 13th-esque camp counselor problem we're going to have. And we got 9 characters, and it's Nick, played by Evan of Agoria, Max by Skylar Jacinto, Miles, played by Dylan, played by Miles Robbins. No, let's start that. And we're going to break these down and talk about how they all have either some sort of sci-fi or horror-related experience, which will probably make their performances pretty authentic. Starting with Evan of Agoria's Nick. Now, he was first seen, the first time I saw him in anything horror-related was in the Fantasy Island remake. He played Nick Taylor. It was kind of a weird movie, but it did have some good moments. Then you're going to have one of 2 people that was from the horror comedy series The Santa Clarita Diet, and that's going to be the character Max, played by Skylar Jacinto. Then we have Dylan, played by Miles Robin, who you probably recognize from Halloween 2018. Next, we have Ryan, played by Justice Smith. Now, the closest thing he's had to a horror film would be playing in Jurassic World, and now, of course, Jurassic World Dominion, that just drops this Friday. So he's going to have some sci-fi horror-y times, you know, could bring that kind of feel to it. Next is Emma, played by Halston Sage. And we know Halston Sage from the 2 seasons she played Ainsley Whitley on Prodigal Son, which really was the very closest thing I've seen to a Hannibal Lecter type Silence of the Lambs series. Next is Caitlin, played by Brenda Song, and the closest I've seen her in is Secret Obsession. It was a Netflix movie. It wasn't bad. She played this victim who kind of lost her memory and had to, like, fight around, you know, the oncoming onslaught. Ariel Winter is going to be playing Abigail. Now, I've never seen anything at all with her horror-related, but we all know Ariel Winter from Modern Family, and she's one of the bigger names along with Justice Smith to bring some credence to the young counselor group, much like they did with Rami Malek and Hayden Panettiere. Next, we have Laura, played by Siobhan Williams. Now, she was Brandy Lynn in Deadly Class. It was an excellent adaptation of the Image comic, which unfortunately did not get picked up at Sci-Fi for a second season. She's also been in a couple of episodes of Wynonna Earp, which is also a really fun comic adaptation. And finally, the last member of the group is Jacob, played by Zachary Tinker, of American Horror Story. And that is your youngins, that is your kids, that is your camp counselors. And then we start bringing out the big heavy hitters of horror with that rounds out the rest of the group, and it's the other playable characters that rounds up those 15. And we will start with the talented actress Grace Zabriskie playing Eliza. Now, we all know Grace from Twin Peaks, one of the best series of all time, in my opinion. And if you disagree with me, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You're just wrong. David Lynch's Twin Peaks is one of the best things ever to occur. And, of course, she played Laura Palmer's mom, Sarah, in Twin Peaks, and was fantastic. So there's classic old school, along with Lynn Shay playing Constance. And Lynn is like horror royalty. Like, she went all the way back. It started with The Dead End back in the early 80s. And she hasn't really stopped. I mean, she was in the Penny Dreadful reboot, Ouija, The Call, Ted Bundy, American Boogeyman, and of course, she pretty much is a staple in James Wan's Insidious series. And so, you have a very, very strong horror connection right there. Next, we have Ethan Suplee playing Bobby, and he's probably most known for his time on My Name is Earl, but he has done some pretty good stuff, such as The Butterfly Effect, and it was also the other member who was in the horror comedy Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix. Next, one of my favorite people of all time, Lance Henriksen, from Aliens, Aliens vs. Predator, one of my favorite staples and one of my favorite Halloween movies, Pumpkinhead, Scream 3, Terminator, Frank Black, and Millennium. Like, Lance is just kind of staple in horror, thriller, and science fiction, and we all love Lance's performance. He's going to be playing Jedediah. Of course, the next person is probably the biggest person in the cast, and let's be honest, Scream will always make him the most famous. We even used him for the thumbnail. David Arquette playing Sheriff Chris. He's also known for other things like Eight-Legged Freaks and a bunch of other comedies and rom-coms. But Scream is Dewey is definitely what is going to bring you that legacy of horror. Like, Dewey has just been a great character. And it's a shame what ended up with him in the last Scream, which but it is what it is. It is what it is. And finally, the person I save for last is character Travis. And why did I save him for last? Because it's Ted Raimi. We love Ted Raimi. Ted Raimi of Evil Dead, also Twin Peaks, Creepshow, The Grudge, Candyman, Wishmaster, you name it, he's probably done it, and he does it well. And of course, we've been talking about Ted Raimi all week with the fact that we just found out from Bruce that Ted will be returning to Evil Dead, the game, as Chet. So it's kind of like Ted Raimi week. So I had to save Ted for last. There was no way I could do him first. I couldn't do him in the middle anywhere. It had to save the Raimi for last. And that is the legacy of horror you're going to see. And we have a lot of really cool characters. I'm going to love watching the interactions. We'll start this thing at midnight. We'll be streaming tomorrow night and Saturday night doing a complete playthrough. And who knows what'll happen in that. We're doing the director's chair video tonight. Probably dropping our first installment around 2 a.m. Of what we have. And we'll be doing the entire playthrough of what transpires. We'll be doing an entire 80s version, everyone dies version. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And thanks for watching as usual. And later, mates.